Yo, what's up guys? You got pokeaim here with the Pokemon Sword and Shield moveset video guide on how to use Coalossal. Now, this is actually the final moveset video guide that I'll have in this form, at least for now, just because this is the last Pokemon that's fully evolved in Pokemon Sword and Shield. That's new, anyway. That's at least new. But I will be having one giant video where I cover all the old Pokemon as well as the new Pokemon in there, whether some of their sets might have been updated. And that will be coming in the future. I'm not entirely sure when. Hopefully this month. It should be this month though. As well as a video covering all the baby Pokemon too, like Score Bunny, and maybe you want to try a Little Cup or something. But we're talking about Coalossal today. I'm actually a big fan of this Pokemon, especially in the UU tier, and that's actually where the first set really excels the most. Coalossal is actually a UU Pokemon. Now Coalossal is Rock and Fire. Has three pretty cool abilities. Flame Body, of course, if you make contact with this Pokemon, be a physical move or basically like something like U-turn or you're actually hitting it or anything like that. There's a 30% chance to burn the opponent. The other option is Flash Fire, and Flash Fire gives you the immunity to a fire type attack and makes your fire type attacks do 1.5 times damage. And then there's also Steam Engine, which is unique to Coalossal, and if it gets hit by a fire or water type attack, it gets +6 speed, which is really cool. I really like that that ability, and honestly, when I saw Roly-Coly, I was really hoping that Coalossal would be a giant train, like a locomotive, I don't know. But yeah, really solid HP, incredible defense, and really good special defense. Pretty, average, below average attack, I would say at base 80. This thing looks like it would hit like a truck, but it actually doesn't. But it does tank hits really well. So the first set we have is a special defensive set, and this set specifically is great for taking on Gengar, good for taking on defensive Arcanine, Avalugg, potentially Bronzong if need be, special attackers in the UU tier as well, like Noivern, as well as Galarian Weezing. But it's a mixed Coalossal, and the idea behind Coalossal is typically you get up your hazard, right? Whether you need Stealth Rock or Spikes. It's incredible because it has both of them, but it also has access to Rapid Spin as well, which allows you to get rid of opposing hazards. Heavy Duty Boots are the preferred option, as that item allows you to avoid hazard damage. I mean, you are weak to Stealth Rock after all, so being able to avoid them is great. And then your last two moves are either Flare Blitz or Flamethrower. Flare Blitz hits Gengar a lot harder, whereas Flamethrower is a nice move that doesn't make you take recoil, and it's really solid for Doublade as well, being a nice solid 2-hit KO on that. And then either Stone Edge or Rock Blast, and very similarly, Stone Edge will hit Gengar harder if you opt to go the Flamethrower route, whereas Rock Blast is good for breaking through subs, also having more PP than Stone Edge, and just in general, I think it's a little bit better because Arcanine can stall out Stone Edges, but eventually it can't stall out Rock Blast because Rock Blast has that more PP, so it can actually do more damage. But overall, Spadef Coalossal is really solid at dealing with one of the best Pokemon in the UU tier, which is Gengar. Not to say though that Gengar can't break through it with like Nasty Plot, +2 Life Orb, Focus Blast. So that's something to keep in mind. But Coalossal is typically used as a special wall and being able to deal with those Pokemon. Obviously, teammates are going to be Pokemon that resist ground type attacks, that also resist water type attacks. I think Rotom Heat is a fantastic teammate. Not only does it resist those moves for Coalossal and deal with the water types in general that Coalossal doesn't necessarily like, and also hit Powdon as a ground type, but it appreciates the hazards that Coalossal sets for its Volt Turn and just getting more chip and getting on out of there and allowing other teammates to come in as well. Bulky Waters are great teammates too. Pokemon like Milotic or Vaporeon can work as well, because they're defensive pivots for fire type attacks coming out at Coalossal too. And Noivern is a pretty decent teammate too, but I actually like Weezing the most, considering it can take fighting type attacks aimed at Coalossal, and Coalossal can deal with Doublade to an extent, whereas Weezing can do that too via Will-O-Wisp, but they could just help each other in terms of, obviously Weezing is immune to the ground type attacks as long as it has Levitate, and it resists the fighting type attacks coming out of Coalossal, so they're really nice to each other. And likewise, Coalossal doesn't mind taking the special attacks that are aimed at Weezing. Gengar is one of the main Pokemon that comes in on Weezing, so they pair really well together. The next set we have is a more OU based focus set, and this set is designed to set up hazards in front of Life Orb Clefable. If you guys didn't know about Life Orb Clefable, it is a giant threat in the OU tier. It's something that's been running around. Typically the set is Magic Guard with Life Orb, and it has like Moonlight, Flamethrower, Moonblast, and the other move is either Thunderbolt or Psychic. That's more so dependent. Psychic hits Toxapex still hard, while also hitting Rotom for some nice damage too. So that's sometimes the reason they opt for that over Thunderbolt. But this is a Pokemon that with Heat Crash, it allows it to 1v1 Clefable. Basically, Clefable, Life Orb Clefable cannot beat this 1v1 in a scenario, and it'll stall it out of Moonlights as well via Heat Crash. You have Rapid Spin to get rid of the opposing hazards. Will-O-Wisp lets you cripple threats. Mandibuzz or anything that just wants to come in. A lot of times maybe bulky waters might want to come in, Seismitoad or Rotom Wash. So wearing them down with Burn is really nice, canceling out the leftovers on Seismitoad for the most part. And then you have either Spikes or Stealth Rock, so whatever hazard you actually choose at this point too. Max Special Defense allows you to better take on Life Orb Clefable. That's the main reason if you want to try and use Coalossal in the OU tier. Also, Heat Crash is really good too because this thing can Rapid Spin on Ferrothorn, beating it 1v1 with Heat Crash and also getting rid of the hazard. So you can run a Careful Nature on this. Going back to the other Coalossal real quick, I did put Sassy Nature there, but I mean if you're running fully physical attacks, then you don't have to run Sassy. You could run Careful Nature as well. But this one's Careful Nature considering we're only running Heat Crash as our offensive one. The next set is, I mean, we got the real standard sets out of the way, right? That's probably the most standard Coalossal you want to have. Now we're going to have a little bit of fun with it. I can't wait to show you the next set. So, next up we have Choice Band Coalossal. This mon hits incredibly hard, okay? Base 80 attack isn't that much, but when you have strong moves like Stone Edge, Explosion, Earthquake, and Flare Blitz, you can actually be a pretty cool wall breaker. Max Speed allows you to outspeed Pokemon like Hippowdon and Blade, as well in the lower tiers, specifically Blade, so you can try that thing with a Choice Band Flare Blitz. Avalugg as well, throwing that thing with a Choice Band Flare Blitz for the 2-hit KO. And just its ability to just naturally tank a hit, I think is really cool. And being immune to Weezing's Will-O-Wisp is so cool too, and resistant to the fairy type attack, so you can just bring this thing in on Will-O-Wisp from Weezing, get your Flash Fire boost, and just click Flare Blitz from there. Explosion lets you nuke bulky waters, especially if they're specially defensive, and from there as well, you can also use Earthquake to threaten, you know, opposing Coalossal. That's a big one. You're faster than opposing Coalossal for the most part. And then Stone Edge is your main rock stab. So a more offensive version of Coalossal seems a lot more fun, in my opinion. Speaking of fun, this is actually the next set. The next set is the set I'm going to be using in the Showdown Live that I'll have uploaded later today. So stay tuned for that. But we're going to be using a Weakness Policy Steam Engine Coalossal, and this should be a ton of fun. So I mentioned the way Steam Engine works. If you get hit by a fire or water type attack, you get automatically +6 speed. So cool. So cool. We have max attack, max speed, and we have Endure. Endure means that we can actually live a water move guaranteed, even though we are 4 times weak to it, or even a ground move, even though we are 4 times weak to it, because we will endure the hit. Activate our weakness policy when we're hit by a super effective hit. So not only do we have the +6 speed, now we have +2 attack and special attack. So you can run a mixed Coalossal variant as well with this. This is fully physical, but you can definitely run mixed with like Fire Blast and moves like that as an option. So, but this is fully physical. And then we have our stabs in Heat Crash or Fire Punch and Stone Edge, depending on you. Coalossal isn't that like heavy comparatively to a lot of Pokemon, so Heat Crash might not be the best option. You might want to run Fire Punch. And then you have Stone Edge and Earthquake, just rounding out that coverage rather. And I'm pretty excited to be able to use this Coalossal, man. Definitely, this one is less. It's not able to get rid of hazards, right? It doesn't set up hazards, so that niche that Coalossal has. It's not even a niche. That team role that Coalossal has, it doesn't have in this. This is a more offensive one, so you probably want a lot of other offensive options with this. I mean, like Mamoswine's a great partner. Heliolisk is also a cool partner too if you don't want to go for the sweep immediately and you want something that can resist the water type attacks or be immune to it rather. And even like Pokemon like the Blade are just solid in the tier 2 because this Coalossal isn't meant to take hits from flying type attacks. Whereas, I mean, if Braviary is still around, you don't want your Coalossal taking a hit initially because you do want to try and get the weakness policy. But it's interesting though because like you can take a close comment from Braviary, knock it out with your move, and then a water type can come in and you can try and go for Endure from there and sweep. So maybe Coalossal we can try and get it. But that's using it potentially with a steam engine to try and see. The next set we have is abusing its special move pool. It has a really cool special move pool, and we're going to be using a choice spec set. Again, I wanted this last one to be a lot more fun. I wanted to give you a whole lot of different options that Coalossal itself could actually use. So, choice specs, it has a pretty vast move pool. Fire Blast is your main stab. It also is a rock type and fire type with access to Scald, so that allows you to threaten opposing Coalossal with super effective damage times 4, or you can hit them with the Earth Power, which is stronger as well, but also just throwing off burns and threatening Pokemon like a Powdon as well, and without having to risk missing your attack. You're faster as well with the EV spread of modest max special attack, max speed. Earth Power gives you your ground coverage, and then Ancient Power is actually your only special rock type attack. It doesn't get Power Gem if I'm not mistaken. So it's again, you're wild if you're using this or Choice Band or any of the other sets, right? The main set is that one set that was mentioned, but I truly feel like this has potential too. And I've used all these sets at least once, right? At least in 1 or 2 battles. So this has a lot of fun, a lot of potential using Coalossal as a more special threat. And I just wanted to give you different ways to use them. Again, none of these videos are law, right? It's not like, these are the only ways to use these Pokemon. That's it, man. I'm pokeaimMD. No, it's never like that. Ever. Do what you want with the Mon. But this ability on this one is actually the Flash Fire, just because you can switch it on Defensive Arcanine a lot easier. And what it allows you to do is get the Flash Fire boost as well, throwing off Fire Blast from there. So, like even Arcanine with a Flash Fire boost doesn't want to take a Specs Fire Blast despite resisting it. The next set we have is using Coalossal as an anti-lead Pokemon, right? So, again, we know that Coalossal has the Steam Engine ability. When it hit with a Water or a Fire type attack, it gets +6 speed. So, pair that with a Focus Sash and pair that with double hazards, you can be hazard setter that also can be other hazard setters via Rapid Spin, because Rapid Spin not only allows you to get rid of their hazards, but it also gives you +1 speed. You can Stealth Rock and Spike, and then if they try to go out to a Rapid Spinner of their own or a Defogger, you can explode on them, either taking them out because of your max attack, depending on what the Pokemon is, like if it's Noivern or something, or like something that's not that bulky, right? You can take it out with Explosion, or just being able to ensure that your hazards are there to stay, because if they can't Rapid Spin, if they can't Defog, right, if they're not attacking something, those moves don't work. So it's a really cool little thing that Coalossal can work as an anti-lead. I want to compare this to Kabutops, which is no longer in the game at the moment, but Focus Sash Kabutops used to run weak armor, and like it would run like Stealth Rock, Rapid Spin, and then Dual Stab from there, which would allow it to effectively get up hazards and also prevent hazards as well. This is kind of comparable to that, except that it gets +6 speed if it gets hit, which almost always allows it to explode. The next set is, I think, still possible in the U tier, though not as good as the special defensive set, but a physically defensive set of Coalossal can potentially work, especially because it does have access to Body Press, which comes off of its 372 defense stat when you maximize that with an Impish Nature. You want to run the Heavy Duty Boots as well, because this is more of a support one, but this can catch something like Obstagoon off guard, taking a Guts boost in close combat, and knocking it out with Body Press, as well as checking the blade a little bit better too. You do have the Flare Blitz as an option as well for hitting Gengar very hard, which I think you want to do on this one, considering you don't take Gengar's hits as well, since you are not especially defensive, you're physically defensive. But also either, the hazard is up to you, right? Stealth Rock or Spikes, it really does depend on your team. On this one, you could be running Flash Fire or Flame Body. That's kind of up to you. I think Flash Fire lets you check like offensive Arcanine a little bit better, so you can switch it on Flare Blitz and then tank hits after, and then threaten it with a Body Press or anything like that, which is going to do some massive damage too. And again, Flare Blitz is an option, but Flamethrower is also something too if you don't want to take that recoil. But this one is more of a physical one, and it can tank hits from even a Pokemon like Caparajah, for instance, or Deblade a little bit better too. So just using it as a physical option instead of a special defensive wall, but a physical wall instead. And the last shot is taking advantage of, we already took advantage of Coalossal's signature ability. Now we want to take advantage of a signature move. It has this move called Tar Shot. And what Tar Shot does is, if it hits you, it's a rock type move that doesn't really like do damage, right? But the target gets -1 speed, and it becomes weaker to fire. So it doubles the weakness to fire. So that's pretty cool. So let's say you hit a water type with Tar Shot, right? Now they're weak to fire. So that's really, really cool, right? Because it becomes weaker to fire. So it doubles that weakness of fire. I'm not like, I feel like if they're 4 times weak to it, they're only 2 times. Or if they're 4 times resistant, they're only 2 times resistant. I'm not 100% sure on the wording of this word or how it works, but I know that I went for Tar Shot versus an Umbreon, and I was able to Flare Blitz it for super effective damage. That's all I know, right? You can Tar Shot Pokemon, you can Flare Blitz them. That's why we actually have Expert Belt as well, because the way Expert Belt works is that your attacks that are super effective do 1.2 times the damage, and we're using Flare Blitz, running Jolly Nature as well. You want to actually be able to outspeed some things, like, I mean, up to Heliolisk, I believe, is what Coalossal, or at least speed times with Heliolisk. You can't outspeed Gengar, unfortunately, even if you hit it with a Tar Shot. But you get that minus speed drop, and you hit them with super effective Flare Blitzes. Then you have Stone Edge as well, to hit the other mons that you might not want to Flare Blitz, considering it's going to be taking down your HP, and as well as Rapid Spin to get rid of hazards too, but also to give you a speed raise as well. So it's a really interesting, like, little way of using Coalossal. And again, the standard set is like the first set, right? That's going to be the best set. That's probably going to be the most consistent set. But I wanted, especially because it's the last one, right? I wanted to show you some really cool sets with Coalossal. And I feel like this Pokemon is going to be so fun, specifically in Draft League, because you can cater these EVs to do what you need to based on, you know, the opponent you're seeing, right? But that's all I have for you guys today. Stay tuned for the Pokemon Showdown Live, like I said, later today, where I feature Coalossal, and I will see you guys next time. Goodbye, my friends. Thank you, everybody, by the way, who has listened and, you know, has watched every video and all that stuff. It's been a ton of fun, and I mean, I truly do appreciate it, right? I just do. I really do. Like, it's been a pleasure doing this stuff. Like, talking about the Pokemon is always so fun as well, and I can't wait to use this thing later, and I can't wait to bring out Wi-Fi battles. I think they'll be starting next week. I want to try as well doubles with Wolf as well. Spoilers, but I'll probably be doing something with Wolfie. And like 66 battles as well as Battle Spot Signals. So I have a lot of stuff coming up. Feel free to subscribe, leave a like. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye, my friends.